All right, we are live. Welcome into our live reaction show, SEC Week 4. We got plenty to react to, guys. We got Oklahoma and Auburn. It's Auburn versus Oklahoma and the refs. Man, that was an interesting one. We got Mizzou beating South Carolina and some other upsets. Arkansas, what the hell were you doing? It is time for the Squad Show reaction show.
You're talking ball with the SEC Squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC Squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC Squad.
And what just happened, everybody, is an SEC Sunday Squad reaction show. We are going to get some of those guys who aren't here with us live. We'll get their reactions throughout the show. Let's welcome in our panel. We got Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners, Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss, Chris Marler, Locked On Gamecocks, Luke Robinson, Locked On Bama. I'm Chris Cordy, Locked On SEC. Of course, your comments are welcome. If you're watching live on YouTube, feel free to comment. We'll put up your comments throughout the show. And yes, Auburn fans, Zach Blackerby did send in a video, so he will have a presence.
It's such a baby.
Zach does the church thing on Sundays, so he can't be here. So, you know. Chris Marler's a heathen.
Can I take up for Zach early? I watched Locked On Auburn because I'm an Alabama guy who grew up 30 minutes from Auburn, so I did it for the Schadenfreude. I hate watched. I'm not going to lie. And he has a co-host named Daryl Dapprich, who is sort of a radio legend in Montgomery. Nice guy, really is a nice guy, big Auburn guy. And Daryl made the comment that Oklahoma fans should go to bed knowing that this game should have an asterisk and should be tainted, and they didn't really win it. And Zach pushed back, and Zach said, you know what? I mean, I guess you can think that way, but we've also been on the other end of this. And I think sometimes it just comes with the territory. Zach's 100% right. We've all been screwed, and we've all been the beneficiary of somebody else being screwed. So, yes, it sucks, and I think the officials did a very poor job in that game. The fumble is, again, I'll rant all day about how much I hate instant replay, because I think if you watch that thing enough, you can make it be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, I can see where it's not a fumble. I can see where it was a fumble. And I think that's why it just disrupts the flow of the game and just increases all these conspiracy theories. The other thing about Oklahoma with the cheating play, quote unquote, look, yeah, I think it kind of sucks that they practice it all week if there was a directive by the SEC to not do that. At the same time, are you going to tell me that defensive back coaches don't tell defensive backs, hey, if you can, grab the receiver's hand and try not to get caught? I mean, that's sort of the same line of thinking to me.
Wrong. And before Jay said, I was going to wait till after Jay says something. It's an illegal play. What I'm most confused about, if they ran the illegal play and it should have been a 15-yard penalty, there's no part of me that's saying Auburn would have won the game. Everyone calm down in Oklahoma land. You have an amazing defense. John Mateer is great. You're undefeated. All's right in the world. But if you objectively watch that game, there were misholding calls on Auburn for sure. The Cam Coleman just getting held like a newborn baby for most of the game was unbelievable. I don't know what you're doing, Jay. But also, okay, so here's the deal, Jay. Now, you know what? Here's the deal, Jay. You guys ran an illegal play. You should have never scored in the first place. It should have been a 15-yard penalty. I don't know if you make a 56-yard field goal. And then after all of that, are we doing this, or are you going to let me actually finish what I'm saying without acting like a child?
Did a word come out of my mouth just now? It did not. Please continue and stop whining.
But they ran an illegal play. They said in the booth, the head of officials said, hey, it's an illegal play. Should have been a 15-yard penalty. Should have been a 15-yard penalty. Why in this day and age of football are we sitting here saying, you know what? We're going to allow that to happen. It's okay. We're just going to keep playing the game, whatever. Like, I'm not saying it would have meant that Auburn wins, but they got objectively screwed here. And it makes no sense that they said the head of officials sat there with the rule book and it's like, nope, you can't do that. Can't do that. Why does he have a job? Why does he have a voice during the games if it's not an illegal play? Now, go ahead.
No, are you finished? I mean, I'm finished. And you want to sit there and whine and cry like you just did. So let me go ahead and let me help you out with here. No, wait. You want me to talk, right? Just shut up. Let me talk.
What did I say? It was unfactual.
Do you want me to talk or not? Shut up if you want me to talk.
Good
Thank
Lord.
you. So back to what I was saying. So as we all are whining and crying about this illegal play, if you actually saw, this is the funny thing about it. The broadcast crew couldn't even see it. They couldn't see the receiver. Why? Because the all-22 didn't show fully. This is what happened. When you saw it from the actual field level, you saw Satania walk over to the ref, point at him, turn, and do this. He literally turned to set up when he stood next to the ref. The ref cleared him. The problem in that play, there's the problem in that play for Auburn. Why aren't you counting heads? Why aren't you making sure that you have everybody there like you're supposed to? It's a tempo play, but it wasn't that fast a tempo. The beauty of it is that Material looked over, they made sure everything was good. Satania talks to the ref, does this, and Durkin is trying to change the play. And you can see Durkin saw him. Durkin is doing this. He's trying to get dude's attention, but his corners didn't look. Is that Oklahoma's fault? No, because he didn't jog off. He walked over there. He literally, let me talk. You want people to talk. Let me talk.
Why are you being so defensive?
Shut up. Let me talk. Thank you. So as Satania walked over to the sideline, it was perfect. Now, this is what I will give to Auburn fans. I will tell you this. That was a pass interference. It was. But you know what? You know why it wasn't a big deal on that pass interference? You freaking scored on that possession. Because then you got a phantom pass interference call on a pass that wasn't even going to be caught. Like that pass was way over. Cam Coleman is diet Randy Moss. The dude is unfreaking real. He's fast. He's strong. He can catch. But guess what? He wasn't catching that pass. So they gave y'all pass interference. I'm going to give a special shout out to Hugh Freeze in this game. Can you shut up and let me talk? Thank you. If you shut up, you can hear what I'm saying. If you shut up, if you decide to shut up, I will continue to finish. Now, as I wrap this up, Hugh Freeze did a fantastic job of recognizing a true freshman corner was out there, and he went after him. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to attack the young corners. But in the end, you're not winning a game if you give up calculated out 9 sacks in a game and 13 tackles for loss. I promise you, you're not going to win. Go ahead, Chris. I know you have things to say now. Perfect. I'm glad you're muted because nobody really wants to hear it either.
Go ahead.
Muted. Said was in the first place, I don't think it means they win the game. They had 10 sacks. Their defense is incredible. But here's, I started the whole thing with all the compliments because I know just how sensitive and defensive SEC fans can be. Not just Oklahoma fans, everyone. So I get it. The point was, if you are sitting here and you're saying, hey, this is an illegal play, the person in the booth says it's an illegal play. He's the head of officials. Let's go through the rule book. Yep, illegal play. How is it illegal? To a touchdown.
How is it illegal? How is it illegal?
Can someone bring up the rule?
It is illegal.
It's illegal, Jay.
It's illegal to walk to the sideline and point to the ref and get in position.
I didn't write the rule. The guy.
I just asked the question. I asked a simple question. Is it illegal to walk over to the ref, point to them, and get set up before a play?
So I don't think that's the way the rule's written. If somebody.
Oh, okay.
The head, Jay. Officials.
Let's
said it.
Okay.
This incident about object. Here you go. Read it.
Can somebody give me my readers? I can't read that.
Simulated replacements or substitutions none of those will be used to confuse opponents. Did he jog over to the sideline or did he walk over to his position? I'm asking the question. I am just asking the blatant question. I am asking the blatant question.
Jay, don't make me defend Auburn for the love of all things holy.
You can defend. Hey, y'all can defend it all you want. It's understood because Luke, you said it perfectly. Everybody gets screwed a lot. We were screwed in this game a lot too. But my point is,
what I said.
My point is, I heard you, Chris. Baby, I heard you. I heard you.
The entire game.
He look as everybody's getting set up. Our players are down the field. He's walking over to the side because this is his side of the field. This is his side of the field. Then he points to the ref, and when you continue the frame, he stops. Looks at the ref, makes sure he's clear on the line, and he gets there. If he wasn't on the line, if he had his back turned to the end zone, I would 100% agree that is deceptive. He walked over there to that spot. I get that everybody's optics in mind is, oh my God, they cheated. There's no way that he should be allowed to do that. Receivers do it all the time. The difference is Auburn didn't pay attention.
Jay,
I want you to watch another football game where a receiver walks over to the side.
Jay, hang on, Jay. First thing, if, as a friend of mine always said, if you ain't cheating, you're cheating yourself. So I'm not mad at you. And I'm not mad at Oklahoma for doing it. I think if the SEC sent this directive like, hey, y'all don't do this, and then they still did it, it is on the SEC and the officials to catch them. So I'm not necessarily mad at Oklahoma, just like I said about defensive backs coaching. Hey, grab their hand, do it in a way that the official can't see you. We all played sports. We all know we did that in basketball. I can promise you, I was tugging on jerseys if somebody beat me. And if I got caught, I got caught. If I didn't, it helped me. So understand. And the other thing, the bigger point to me is you said something that was very obvious. Cam Coleman's really, really good. He's an All-American type receiver. Auburn doesn't get those very often. So why, for the name of all things holy, does he have 3 catches all in the first half? I know, he got pass interfered a couple times in the second half. Why aren't you throwing to him all the time? Forget trying to do anything else, because Oklahoma very stupidly kept putting a true freshman on him who had no chance. So Cam Coleman should have abused that guy for 250 yards, but for some reason, the Auburn coaching staff didn't go that route. That is what, if I were an Auburn fan, I'd be madder about that, because that's the bigger problem going forward.
I think I'm going to say this as calmly as possible. The issue with this is not that Oklahoma won the game. No one cares that Oklahoma won. I get being sensitive because that's what fans do. I love that South Carolina is somehow being brought into this like that has anything to do with it. They have a bevy of their own issues, guys. The issue is this, and Jay, this isn't a directed attack at Oklahoma, and I love you, but it's also the fact
I love you too. I just have to give you shit.
This is a consistent problem with SEC officiating, and there's too much on the line. You've put millions and millions of dollars into a product that's making you billions and billions of dollars back. So if you are having that kind of like financial gain from it, and there's such a huge impact on it, coaches' jobs, like teams making it to the playoff. We saw last year, because of SEC officiating, you could make the argument that an SEC team was kept out or a fourth team was kept out of the SEC or of the college football playoff. I'm not saying that would happen this year with Auburn, but like this is clearly an issue that is impacting a game directly. I thought the fumble return call, I thought that was correct, to be honest. The catch, I thought that was correct. Like there were plenty of different spots where they made the wrong call or right call and they were fine. But this one impacted the game in a very big way. And I think SEC fans are tired of seeing it. Like you should not have whole games and then futures of the entire season be dictated on a referee that's making $2,500 a game, because that's what they're making per game, when you are putting $1 billion like what do you call it? I lost my train of thought. $1 billion product out on the field. You know what I mean? Like that. It's not just what happened in Auburn, Oklahoma. It's what happened last year in LSU, South Carolina. It's what happened a couple years ago in Alabama, Tennessee. It happens over and over and over again. And SEC fans are tired of it.
No, I get it. I 100% agree with that, because that is one of the biggest issue. Even Oklahoma fans will tell you we had that problem at the Big 12. It's not really just the SEC officiating problem. It's not a Big 12 officiating problem. It's not a Big 10 officiating problem. It's a officiating problem. And the bigger issue with it is that as humans going to make mistakes. And we don't want to accept that as humans, but that humans make mistakes. We don't. None of us, even myself. Like, you can ask an Oklahoma fan about the Oklahoma State pass interference play at the end zone that was literally blatant, but no one wants to call it. But at the same time, you recognize there are human mistakes. My issue with this one is this is the only thing that Auburn fans bring up in that game. And I laugh at it because it's like, but you didn't want to talk about the 9 sacks your quarterback gave up.
10.
Look, well, it was 11 actually, but they had to take 2 off because they said that some of them did not count. They didn't think they were warranted to be considered sacks, but I digress. When you're doing that much work on defense, on the defensive line, look, second half, Auburn had 58 yards passing, and they actually had a little bit more rushing. But in this game, they did not finish with the rushing yards that everyone told me was going to happen. I was told that Auburn was going to run for over 200 yards in this game and destroy Oklahoma. They got 67 yards in this game. We abused them in the front 7 like we were supposed to. But as Luke mentioned, I think, Steven, you mentioned this as well, why aren't you throwing it to Cam Coleman more? Like, for real, that dude's a monster, and he was purposely picking. Now, granted, we finally got smart and put a safety over the top, and I think the only reason why we didn't is our expectation. We actually achieved our expectation, but just not as good as we wanted to. We got 9 sacks in this game. We knew the quarterback was going to hesitate because out of those 11 quote-unquote sacks, only 4 of them was accounted to the offensive line. We knew the quarterback was going to hold the ball long enough for us to hit him every time. Yeah. That's the thing that sucked. We kind of hoped to play that. It didn't work all the way.
Dude, RMG coming out in the second half. My bad, Steven. Go ahead. I've talked to you.
Yeah. When you look at this, Oklahoma absolutely got away with this. And now it's not that they did anything. The officials screwed up. Oklahoma got away with it. But if we're going to be real about it, it's hard to feel sorry for Auburn after the kick 6 and the prayer and Jordan Hare and all of that stuff, because you had some karma go your way as well. So this just happens in a football game. Oklahoma got one over. This was the Lane Kiffin rule. I think it was 2022. They did this to Texas A&M. That's the reason this got put in. But Oklahoma figured out a way to simulate that to where Auburn quit paying attention, lined the guy up, and he was wide open on the sideline. And it's against the rule. It is against the rule. And it is absolutely at a cost in a game like this. But like I said, it's hard for Ole Miss fans to feel sorry for Auburn because they didn't get a call.
Let me just add real quick, Marler. I mean, this was, and I'll just give my kind of unbiased, because I was just wanting an entertaining game. I didn't have a dog in the fight. This was at the start of the second quarter. I mean, if this was like 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, I'd have way more of a problem with it. Again, did they get it wrong? Yes, they've come out and announced it. But who's to say they call a penalty there and Auburn still chucks it, or Oklahoma still chucks it and it's a deep touchdown? I mean, again, like anything can happen. My biggest thing coming out of this game was, I talked to Sam Acho last week. I talked to Tim Tebow. I talked to Lions National people. You know what I've heard for the last 3 weeks, guys? John Mateer is the next coming. He is the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. All this. I was a little disappointed in his play. He played fine, but I thought this was a game he was going to elevate. He was going to show up and show out, not need a trick play to throw a touchdown. Like, I thought he was going to ball out. So that, just again, my unbiased perspective, I was taken aback a little bit by that. I thought everything Jackson Arnold had to deal with in this game, he kind of overcame. Like, I thought he made some nice plays with Cam Coleman. Again, the sacks, it wasn't all on the O-line. They kept showing it. 4 seconds, he's sitting back there holding, and he was hesitant. And I get it. Maybe Hugh Freeze said, look, if it's not there, take the sack. The worst thing you could do is force him to throw an interception. Maybe that's what they preached to him throughout the week. But I come out of this game kind of saying, you know what? I feel pretty good about Auburn moving forward. I think they're going to be much better at home against tough opponents in their environment. And I think Oklahoma, while undefeated 4-0, look good. I think they have some improvements they still need to make on the offense to be consistent and be this power in the SEC this year that I think we were talking about them as the last 3 weeks. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, let me say that, first of all, I think that Jackson Arnold did not, under any circumstance, want to have a turnover in that game. And I think that may have led to his holding on the ball too long. And, you're right. He played well and not well in a weird kind of way, because the plays where he held the ball too long were super costly. And the other thing, after all said and done, after the pass interference or non-pass interference or non-fumble or trick play or whatever, Auburn had the ball with like 4.5 minutes left on their own 20. I mean, not on their own 25, I guess, starting on their own 15 or something, because Auburn kept stupidly running the kickoff back, and they get penalized every time they ran the kickoff back. I would have said, don't return anymore. I don't care how good Rashawn Pleasant is. Just take the knee and let's go to the 25. Regardless, they had the ball with 4 minutes left, and they end up taking a safety because they had some legit, those penalties, whatever they had, were legitimate, and then they give up a sack in the end zone for a safety, which I can't lie, I laughed because it allowed Oklahoma to cover. Auburn had its opportunities. In the end, you're always going to get a call, and you're always not going to get a call or two, and sometimes it's going to be worse than others. But all Auburn could ask for was, hey, we're in this game down 5, and we got Cam Coleman and you don't. We got a shot to win this, and they allowed Oklahoma to make it a 7-point game versus trying to take the lead.
This is the last thing I'm going to say about, because this was a great game. Like, this was a great game. I said this. This is an SEC classic. It was back and forth. It was low scoring, defensive battle. There was like big hitting, and the refs were involved. And it just feels like that is like the blueprint for the SEC now. This is not taking anything away from Oklahoma. They went out and sacked him 10 times without their best edge rusher in the game for half the game. Like, Oklahoma played really well. I don't know why objectively saying the refs did one thing would warrant some of the reactions that are happening in the chat here. But here's the other thing too about that call. You said like that's coaching. They should have caught it. They should have like realize what happened. What's his name? DJ Durkin did. Hugh Freeze came sprinting down, screaming for a timeout, and they missed that too. The failure is not in like the coaching there, which is there were plenty of those for Auburn on Saturday. Plenty. When they got the first down on that final drive and decided to run Jackson Arnold on 2nd and 9, I was like, who's calling plays right now for Auburn? But not being able to get the timeout called, still having the play like run, and it resulting in a touchdown feels like you have had a failure at the overseers of the sport from the conference. That's the issue. It's not that it would have changed the game. It's that like it continues to happen. And I don't know how we're in 2025 with a bazillion cameras and replay and we're still messing this up. That's all.
Yeah. To even add to that, last thing on the refs, since, the refs definitely gave the game to Oklahoma, I guess. But those phantom offensive pass interference plays they called against us, pretty ridiculous. Dude runs an out route and their corner runs into him and we're called for it. Just always keep that in mind. Everybody gets a call in every game. All those calling for my firing, don't worry, I'm gonna be here as long as possible.
We're not firing Jay. That's sorry, guys. Look,
money.
It was an emotional game. Again, I think if you're Oklahoma, look, my overwhelming. We're gonna get into the Mizzou South Carolina game in just a minute, but like my overwhelming takeaway is it's hard to play on the road in the SEC. That's what makes these great home environments so good. I thought the Oklahoma fans absolutely brought it. They were awesome from the get-go yesterday. Yeah. Give some props to them. Maybe the bleep you Jackson Arnold chance notwithstanding, but look, I just this is why when you're a fan of an SEC team and that schedule comes out, you look immediately your 4 road games. You go, where are we playing? Where's the potential losses? And I think most Auburn fans looked at that and went, God, going into Norman with Jackson Arnold now on our side, that's going to be a tough one. And again, they battled. They were in this game, and again, I thought Oklahoma was getting away with some handsy plays. In fact, when they called the defensive pass interference, I thought that was the weakest one that they could have called. I thought the 2 plays prior could have been defensive pass interference. So it is what it is. But look, Auburn's not dead. I think they're still going to have a say in this thing, before it's all said and done. And like I said, I think Oklahoma kind of showed, okay, look, we were riding high after that big win over Michigan, all this. Oklahoma's got some warts that they need to clean up. The good news is they're 4-0 and they're undefeated. So
let's see if the reps help Auburn in the rest of the season, though.
Well, let's see. A&M is going to be interesting. I would hate to be A&M right now. Like, Auburn's going to be clamoring for the calls this week, but that's going to be an interesting game to see how Auburn responds because A&M had an off week, and A&M had a big win after Notre Dame, so they were able to calm down. It's going to be a big one.
Real quick, we'll get to some of the other games coming up here in just a sec. But real quick for our listeners, guys, if you're a college football fan out there, if you go back in time and sit front row at your school's favorite rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Well, a lot of us, depending on your ages, you were probably wearing some of these caps back in the day. And our friends at the game are bringing them back. They're not just hats. They're the vintage style hats that a lot of us wore back in the 90s. 2000s for Luke, probably in the 70s and 80s. But guess what? They're still back for the same price they went for back then. When you use our code Locked On, you can get a vintage hat for $16.99. All you got to do is head to thegamecaps.com, THEGAME caps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use our code Locked On for an exclusive discount. They sent us one. I actually went on. I ordered a couple more because the discount code, it's legit, guys. $16.99 for your favorite team hat from your favorite SEC school. Again, that is thegamecaps.com. Use code Locked On because legends wear the game.
Jay, you ought to see if they got a hat for the officials since that's your favorite team.
I know. Seems like that's the one that you think wins every game for people. I agree. I'm gonna get you one. I'm gonna get you one too, Chris. I know that's your squad.
Real quick, guys, before we fully move on from Oklahoma Auburn, let's get Zach Blackerby's thoughts in here. He had something to say.
Brutal day for the Auburn Tigers. I'm not gonna talk about the officiating stuff. The SEC put out a statement on it. Thought it would make Auburn fans feel better. I think it made them feel worse. So we'll move past the officiating aspect of this. Auburn's defense surprised me against John Mateer. I thought that was going to be a big mismatch, and Auburn's defense actually held their own. It was the offense, obviously. I said going into it, it would be Auburn's offensive line versus Oklahoma's defensive line that decided the game. That was 100% true. 10 sacks is not good. Now, not all sacks are created equal. I think some of them were on Jackson. I think some of them were on the offensive line. I think some of it was on pass protection. A lot of different issues, and that's not a good thing for the Auburn Tigers. But as frustrating as that loss was, I actually feel a little bit better about the rest of the season, mainly because of how the defense and DJ Durkin shut down John Mateer for most of that game.
Did Zach just come back from a Survivor tryout? Holy cow. Did his beard grow 9 inches in 2 days? What was that? There was a bird living in there.
He put Rugiet Ready in his beard. They got big quick.
All right. Any final thoughts on OU Auburn before we turn the page?
I do love that we just yelled at each other for 20 minutes, and Zach's like, we're not going to get in the officiating here. We've moved on from it. And me and Jay have just been at each other's throats, screaming at each other.
We gotta fire Chris for that, man. Chris ruined a great moment because you started the argument by not letting Zach give us the calming moments. It was you.
We should add Marler
We'll
is
both put
engaged.
together.
Marler is engaged to an Auburn fan, so
she's pissed. She is, dude. She is outraged. She's like, you
don't need your Rugiet this weekend.
Dude, it is. Luckily she's not in the house because she's on a trip to see the fam. But she's very upset. So pray for me.
Well, let's get into it. It's good we got Marler here from the Gamecock perspective because Mizzou, they got the other big SEC win yesterday. Here was our buddy John Miller from Locked On Mizzou.
Another dominant rushing performance on both sides of the ball by Missouri means they're a real contender, and yet, boy, the back end on that pass defense needs some work. I'm John Miller with Locked On Mizzou, and the Tigers took care of business impressively in Columbia, Missouri yesterday, winning the Mayor's Cup. But Missouri really needs to clean up miscommunications in the back end of its defense. Just general poor play in the secondary. Lenore Sellers throws for more than 300 yards for a second consecutive season against Mizzou. Hey, some people think he's the number one pick for a reason. Give him a lot of credit. He threw some dimes yesterday. But Missouri has to be better against a schedule, the back end here, that is looking a lot more difficult than a lot of talking heads thought in the offseason.
Guys, before we, Marler, before you jump in and everybody reacts, I will say I was very impressed with South Carolina's effort here because all I was hearing all week was Lenore Sellers is going to play, but he's not 100%. And people kept telling me, I think Mizzou's going to blow them out. Like that's, and again, they won by 9, but South Carolina had the lead going into the fourth quarter, I believe, right? So they hung tough in this one. I thought, if you just look at the box score, you're going to go, wow, Sellers had a nice night. No run game is what really hurt them. They could not run the football to save their lives. But look, Mizzou, Ahmad Hardy has been awesome. We knew he was going to be awesome coming into the season. But what'd you guys think of this one as Mizzou improves to 4-0? They still don't play an away game for like another month or something.
Yes, absolutely nuts. I still have Missouri as my most underrated team in the Southeastern Conference. They have a chance to be really, really good, but it is more difficult towards the end of the season as this season starts to play out. I knew that South Carolina was going to come with a little bit of vinegar in their blood because basically they were ticked off and got blown off the field at home against Vanderbilt. You were going to show up in this game. Lenore Sellers was going to show up in this game. They were going to throw deep balls to Nick Harbor. So knowing all of that, Missouri was going to have a little bit extra trying to win this game, and they were able to pull it off by stopping the run. South Carolina had no running game. I think Missouri gave up -9 yards rushing or something like that as well, and they ran the ball effectively. That's normally the formula for winning on the road in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to pull it out at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. That to me, Eli and that squad drinking them, they put a nice masterclass of balanced offense. They ran the ball for 287 yards in this game. And what's crazy to me is the spread, even when Lenore Sellers was announced to be coming back, was still like -10. -9.5. 9, and I feel bad for those that took that -9.5 because the score ended up being a 9-point win. Yeah. But they did fight. I mean, South Carolina was out there fighting, especially with Sellers coming in hurt. You started to see other wide receivers step up. You saw the deep passes that we were hoping to get out of them. But, man, that Missouri run game is absurdly good. I got to give them mad props for that.
I must have watched a different game. Luke, go ahead. I'll save mine for last because mine's going to be ranty.
Checks out.
Hardy is an absolute beast. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. He just doesn't quit running. He's angry. He's running like a guy who's still mad that bigger schools didn't recruit him out of high school. He's got a little Travis Henry in him from back in the day. Some of y'all may be too young for that, but just these gigantic Tina Turner thighs that just you can't wrap your arms around him. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that.
I love thighs.
I'm just saying he's just awesome. This Missouri team, as an Alabama fan, I'm looking and going, oh, so this week we're at Georgia at a place that they're dying to kill us because, we've sort of had their number. And then, we welcome in a Vanderbilt team that just scored 70 points and beat South Carolina on the road 31-7 or whatever. Oh, and then we go to Missouri, who's going to be undefeated and has got the best running back in the league. And then we play a Tennessee team that's scoring at will on everybody. I mean, I'm getting kind of worried. Anybody?
How did you make this about Alabama?
I just did. That's what we do, Marler. I mean,
so first off, Earl Campbell, Jamal Lewis, Jamal Anderson from the Falcons. Those were all viable options for the Phi comment. You went Tina Turner, which is insane, and I love it so much. That's why I love you, Luke. That was a great reference. I feel like I have to preface everything because anything you say, if you're like, hey, I love apples, like, why do you hate oranges? I didn't say that at all. Mizzou deserved to win this game. They were great. And Ahmad Hardy's awesome. It's not just him either. Jamal Roberts was fantastic for most of the night. He's been fantastic. He's the one that put the nail in the coffin for Kansas a couple weeks ago. They were great. I said, and I know nothing, as I've been told in the comments a whole bunch throughout these, and I'm an idiot and all my predictions, all that stuff. I told John Miller this in our crossover pod. I said, they're going to win this game 28-20. It'll be close to the fourth quarter. They'll pull away off by one. So that was not bad. Not a bad look there. South Carolina did not go and show a gutsy effort. I don't know what game y'all were watching. They gave up 5 sacks. They ran for negative 9 yards. Lenore Sellers had 300 yards passing. They had less than 300 yards of total offense.
Did they not lead going into the fourth quarter?
They did. About? They also could not run the football and had negative 9 yards. And
okay, but they found a way. They were in the game.
Great. Ahmad Hardy's Ahmad Hardy's great. They also had multiple missed tackles. They had 5 missed tackles on one of his runs. Like, he's been great at like evading tackles and being able to make people miss and also running through tackles. That's awesome. Give him credit. This defense was horrible at trying to figure out ways to stop the run. Like they multiple defensive backs refusing to bring their arms to tackle. Dylan Stewart getting ran right at and then running to the locker room instead of staying around for the alma mater afterwards. The entire thing was horrible. It was great that it was close for a minute, but like besides Lenore Sellers, if Lenore Sellers
a minute, they were in it for 3 quarters. They were in the game.
It was right. It was the fourth quarter really where things fell apart.
They played bad
because they didn't want to put effort into tackking.
You're right. They didn't play great. But I kept looking up at the scoreboard and going, they're in this game.
You know what? You're right. They got outrushed by nearly 300 yards, but it was a great effort because Lenore Sellers is Superman, and he was able to make some deep ball throws. Like, he's great. Where's this team without the rest of them? Like, I'm not going to sit here and pat them on the back because they were able to keep it close against a Missouri team that many thought they were going to run out of the building before the year started. Like, it was a good game. It was a close game. Missouri's really, really good. South Carolina refused to make effort on defense and tackling, and you got outgained by 300 yards rushing the football. That's pathetic.
To your point, though, it's funny because I was looking at every time I had it on my second TV I'm watching, and every time I looked down, there was like a big play. Like South Carolina just got big plays. And it's funny. Jacobs with a 49-yard catch, Rowe with a 24-yarder, Harbor with a 33-yarder, Jared Brown with a 32-yarder. It was like they couldn't make the short intermediate plays, but they can make the big chunk plays.
They had the ball first and goal from the 1-yard line, and then 2 plays later, it was second and goal from the 25. They had a third and short, and then they got a big first down on a drive, and then next thing you know, it's 3rd and 37. And lo and behold, he hits a 33-yard gain to Nick Harbor. Like, that's all great, and there's stuff that kept them in the game. But, like, this was supposed to be a year where you've turned the corner and you're winning these games, and they are losing because of coaching and bad effort. They had 14 penalties for 100 yards. I'm glad that the score was close, but 14 penalties for 100 yards, negative 9 yards rushing, that's embarrassing. I don't know why it's weird to call that out.
It's not weird to call that out. It's just because they got curb stomped so badly last week. The effort showed a little bit better this week. That it's a relative statement. Not as South Carolina is good. What's that?
Yeah.
How low is the bar? Like, I mean, like just because they performed better than last week when they got beat by 24 by Vanderbilt.
Yes, it had to be better. They had to put out the effort. They started that. They tried to find a way to win a game against a team that was obviously better than South Carolina.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing really quickly because I have to go because one of my 17 children has a soccer game or I'm coaching soccer or there's a soccer contest or something. But because I know you're going to this next, I have a theory on a couple of SEC coaches. I believe that Billy Napier and Sam Pittman stumbled upon the Greg Brady totem that he found in the cave in Hawaii that gave him bad luck on their trip, for those who know Brady Bunch. And I feel like those two guys they're just absolutely cursed. I've never seen anything as bad as Sam Pittman 2 weeks in a row, driving for the win. And your guy, just because of extra effort, fumbles the ball both times. The universe just doesn't like Sam Pittman the way I do. I like Sam Pittman. He's a good dude, and he's just not destined to be a football coach.
Luke, they were 17 of 17 in the red zone before that with 17 touchdowns. Think about that.
That's amazing.
That's
by the way, Brady Bunch, very modern reference.
Everyone gets that.
60 years ago.
Peanuts 100,000.
There's like two people who get it. It's really funny, and none of y'all understood it. So that's okay. All right, I've got to go. Happy SEC Day, everybody.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah. Tune in next week when Luke talks about Gilligan's Island.
Real quick, Marler, to wrap up the South Carolina Mizzou talk, and again, congrats to Mizzou. They're 4-0. As you know, look, they're very much in the playoff conversation. I think if they go 10-2 at worst, they will be in the discussion. But where does South Carolina go from here, Marler? Because they still have to go to LSU. They still got to play Oklahoma. They still got to play Alabama. Road trips at Ole Miss, at A&M, and of course, well, Clemson looks beatable at the end of the year. But I mean, 7-5, is that maybe the ceiling now for South Carolina?
I think so. And what's hysterical, and you got to think about it too, man. That means that you're going what? I'm not great at math. 5-3
5 more wins
with that schedule. You need to get to a bowl game because otherwise that seems like a catastrophic loss. You have got to figure out a way to keep retention on the roster. I know it's way too early to be talking about all that stuff, and they've done a good job of that. But in my opinion, Shane Beaver needs to make a definitive statement, and that definitive statement is you fire the offensive line coach because your offensive line has not gotten any better. And 14 penalties for 100 yards is inexcusable. That's just inexcusable because otherwise, you're right. They are in a chance to win that game. But I mean, again, you had a Missouri team that had their best offensive lineman out, and also two other guys they had to shift around, and they still ran for over 300 yards. You guys are over here patting them on the back for trying their best. What the hell are we talking about right now?
I mean, they deserve. They were leading, as Chris mentioned. A lot of the game, it was in South Carolina's hands. That fourth quarter just was bad. It fell apart. That first drive of the fourth is when things felt like it was just it's going to start to go the wrong direction. And like you said, missed tackles, not really filling run gaps. There was a lot of different things that came in that when I looked at the fourth quarter. I'm like, but I thought South Carolina was going to close it, and unfortunately they did not. But y'all do have another receiver in Jacobs. That's all I got to say. And that was the one thing I said all season. I was wondering, the run game I was curious about because of Rocket Sanders not being there anymore. I want to see who was going to show up. Faison didn't give it to me this game. He did it some others. But I wanted to see who was going to be the wide receiver outside of Nick Harbor because we hadn't seen it from him yet. Jacob showed up big time in this game to me. But you're right, Chris. You are right. I'm going to give you that. You are honestly right. I hate saying it out loud in public. I only tell you that in private. This only happens when we're hanging out and drinking beers. But that tackling was just poor. It was. It felt like poor effort late. Or it felt like they were gassed.
That's what I felt like we saw last week against Vanderbilt once they went down. The problem against Vanderbilt, and I know Steven said the thing about them being curb stomped. That's an accurate and very graphic way to describe it, but he's not wrong. That's what happened. But the frustration was not them losing to Vanderbilt, especially after Sellers went out. It's they lost, and they did so in a way where they spiraled out of control, and they got to a point where they were falling apart. They lost their composure, and that's the same crap that happened. Almost messed up there. Same crap that happened this week too. We'll move on though. I know.
Real quick, flip it to the other side for Missouri. They get UMass this week.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then they have a bye week, and then they host Alabama on October 11th.
Yeah.
There's a chance. I mean, Alabama, if they lose at Georgia this weekend, I mean, I'm putting it out there. Like, does Alabama start going, oh, we're not a world beater now? And, like, is there a chance that they go in and Mizzou, could beat them on October 11th?
Did you watch Missouri's secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ty Simpson will throw for 400 yards in that game.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
on the road?
that's a trap game.
I saw Ty Simpson on the
You know
road.
what? That was a little bit. I got ahead of my skis. Ty Simpson will throw for 300 yards in that game.
Okay. All right.
Dang. Shots fired.
All right. Well, we will continue on, guys. We'll touch on Arkansas, their tough loss. We'll touch on a few other. Ole Miss had a very nice win over a good Tulane team. We'll touch on, and Florida was Florida. We'll touch on that next. Hey, but first, guys, it is the NFL is about to kick off, and of course, FanDuel is making sure you are ready with kickoff with a can't-miss offer right now. New customers, if you've never done FanDuel before, you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It is quick and easy, and it is the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sundays. Look, you're playing fantasy football anyway. Why not make it a little bit more exciting with the FanDuel app? Watching your team, watching your fantasy lineup, you could do so, and get a little action in over at FanDuel. If you are ready to play, all you got to do is download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Get signed up as FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And again, if your $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, FanDuel.com. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make your neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days. It's going to be packed later today. The coffee shop knows your order by heart. Corner Deli, it's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, your whole neighborhood thrives. Go check them out. Square, it is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, the aggressive typing, I think, is Chris Marler. Welcome back to our Sunday reaction show here. And, fellas, I'll just throw it out there. Where do you want to start? I mean, Arkansas, I thought, played decent enough against Memphis to get a win. Memphis came back. They had a big lead, and Memphis came back. And yet still in the final minute, Arkansas is driving the ball down in field goal range to beat Memphis. And they're, like Steven said, or Luke, one of them said, you're running back, fighting for extra yards. He fumbles the ball, and just unfortunate spot because I thought Arkansas deserved to win that game.
Yeah, that was bad on Arkansas's part. You can't have a lead against Memphis like that and then lose it, especially as John Abers tells us that's one place that, Arkansas likes to play. They're always at that bowl game in Memphis, the Liberty Bowl, and they let Memphis push them around at the end. That was, I don't know. I'm surprised Pittman wasn't fired after that game just because of the way that ended. That just felt like a mismanagement of coaching in general. That was bad. You don't lose a game like that when you're dominating that well at the beginning of the game. That was bad. I'm just gonna say that was bad.
20 they were 20 and not having the ability. Like, you have arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC when he's on and not turning the football over, which he reverted to a couple times. He was putting the ball in some. They were praising how he's putting the ball in some tight windows. I don't know if any Arkansas fan felt like, oh yes, he has the arm talent to do that, so we're comfortable with him doing that. Like, it was very. There was some decision making there. I almost thought they should have just taken a knee at the end, but hindsight is obviously 2020, and like, you probably also want to run some more clock and not give up yards the way they were running the football. They just find new ways to lose, and it's so frustrating. I said this to Luke, and like, I'll say it again. Arkansas was 17 of 17 in trips to the red zone to start the year with 17 touchdowns. I believe that's the only team in the country that had that level of success, and they fumble on the 7-yard line to lose to Memphis. It's just a brutal, brutal loss.
Yeah, well, the reason Sam Pittman's going to end up losing his job after this season is the defense. I saw some of the worst tackling of my entire life, and said there were people jogging, chasing the ball on the long touchdown run that put Memphis in the lead in that game, and it was just upsetting. It looked like a team that had quit on this staff. It got hard for a second. They took a step back, and the effort just wasn't there. The touchdown that they scored that kind of got Memphis started going was just a chest bump, essentially, and the quarterback just ran through two players into the end zone, and it should have been tackled. And the last 3rd and 8, to where a simple zone read when Memphis was just capitulating and was going to punt the ball, you allow him to basically bear hug him, and he let him drag a 390-pound defensive lineman for 8 yards. Come on, fall down, get his legs, get him to the ground. Show some heart, guys.
Look, that on that one, the fact that Pittman is a trench guy and they somehow got drugged by a quarterback was an additional 5 yards to get that first down. Oh God, that to me was disgusting.
The interesting part about this, guys, is Arkansas. They're now 2-2. Unfortunately, we don't have John Neighbors on here to tell us how glum Fayetteville is today with Sam Pittman. But you look at the remaining schedule; they play Mizzou at the end. They got road trips at LSU, at Texas, get a road trip at Tennessee, home games against A&M, Auburn, and Mississippi State. How do we feel about this weekend? Them hosting Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame hasn't started off great.
Forgot about that.
Can we jump on Ole Miss and talk about Trinidad, how amazing he is, and hopefully his brother Tobago shows up to Ole Miss first before we roast?
We'll get to them real quick, but does Arkansas? Are you riding with them against Notre Dame? You think Notre Dame comes into Fayetteville and wins?
Oh, Arkansas! Oh, Notre Dame's coming in there and winning that game.
Yeah,
my hatred for Notre Dame will not allow me to give up.
I want Notre Dame to lose so bad. I want Arkansas to show us and prove to us that they can bounce back, but they're gonna lose that game.
And if you're an Arkansas fan, you want to fire Pittman, like right now you want to fire Pittman, but wouldn't this like put a full wrench in that if he beats Notre Dame next week? Like
I say this all the time. I said this with Napier a couple years ago, and it stands true of any of my degenerate gamblers out there. I always say this with poker: you don't want good cards, you want easy decisions, right? Like you don't want good cards, you want easy decisions. Arkansas beating Notre Dame is like the most Arkansas thing that can happen. Like at some point you would almost rather them go 4-8 than them go 7-5 again and have a win like this under their belt, because it's great in the moment, but like big picture wise, is it something that's going to turn the program into the direction they want it to go? Like, I don't know. Like, I hope Pittman's there forever because I love Pittman and I would hate to see him go. I also I don't know what my locked on check is going to be this month. I would donate all of it to Sam Pittman being the offensive line coach at South Carolina. I will tell you that right now. I will start a GoFundMe to get that going immediately.
He's a position coach that everybody will fight for, 100%. 100%.
Well, but Arkansas fans will tell you that O-line hadn't been that's his calling card at Arkansas. It hadn't been great since he's been there.
That's a fair point. I think the struggle here is that Taylor Green is susceptible to throwing interceptions and turnovers, and I think Notre Dame's secondary is good enough to take advantage of that if they can catch the ball.
Although, didn't they just give up 30 points to Purdue?
They did.
Yes.
So, I mean, this could be an absolute shootout in Fayetteville.
Oh, guaranteed. Take the over. FanDuel, shout out.
Steven, speaking of shootout, Trinidad Chambliss putting on a show. I know you were all aboard the Austin Simmons hype train this offseason, but Trinidad Chambliss looking the part. I thought this was a tremendous performance against a good Tulane team that's probably going to go on to win the American or down the road. But what did you make of Ole Miss's performance?
The first thing I made is that Trinidad's the truth, but I'll come back to that. Second of all, Pete Golding got the defense a little bit fixed, worried about Jake Retzlaff, and gave up 3 points, and Jake Retzlaff had to be pulled out of the game for ineffective play and a garbage touchdown at the end. Ole Miss is going to be a problem for teams in the SEC, and it's just at the right time with the biggest home game of the season against LSU coming up this Saturday. The other thing is Ole Miss has officially a quarterback controversy, a real thing. The fans are exponentially every second getting more and more behind Trinidad, and they should. He had the 4th greatest game quarterbacked by an Ole Miss quarterback against the Tulane Green Wave on Saturday, with over 100 yards rushing and throwing for a little bit over 300 as well. Trinidad Chambliss, he does the right thing, and it shows that in Lane Kiffin's system, if you just let the skill players that he has accumulated perform, they're a better football team. And Trinidad Chambliss has the athletic ability and everything there, but he spreads it out. You look at the number of players that caught balls in each of the last 2 games, it was like 8 or 9. And also, this is an underrated fact for Lane Kiffin this season. He's gone for it on 4th down twice in 4 games. He has kicked 11 field goals. Lane Kiffin's evolution that he figured out against Georgia last year, he has brought it forward to this season. And this team feels like it is coming together at just the right time.
Take the points.
I feel like their defense was much better this week than they had been in the previous weeks. So that maybe bodes well. But and I'll just combine this because I watched a good bit of LSU last night. I get it was Southeastern, but so LSU finally had the offensive showing they've been looking for all year. They, all the teams were playing the cupcakes week 1. LSU played Clemson, which may turn out to be a cupcake, but they finally got their offense righted as they go into Ole Miss. And so now it's about, is Garrett Nussmeier, do they execute? The LSU defense still looks, they've been lights out through the first few weeks. That's going to be the real test. Is we saw LSU's defense struggle with quarterbacks who can run last year. If Trinidad Chambliss gets out in space, how quickly do those linebackers, Harold Perkins and everybody else, collide on him?
So the only thing I'll push back on what Steven said is everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to be combative on this one. So I don't think you have a quarterback controversy. I think it's very clear who the quarterback is, and I'm sure that we were not at practice. We don't know what Lane Kiffin saw. It had to be something pretty spectacular if Simmons took the reins of the starting position to start the year. But I don't think you take the ball out of Trinidad Chambliss' hands right now going into this game with how he's performed. It's not just that he had good games. He had over 400 yards of offense in both of those games. The stat that you just pulled, one of 4 quarterbacks in program history with 300 passing yards, 100 rushing yards against whoever. The biggest thing for me, I kept questioning was where has Pete Golding's defense been for the last couple of weeks? Guys, this is a Tulane team that has already beaten 2 Power 4 teams. They might not have been great teams, but they went on the road and they beat Duke. They also had, what was the other one, Steven? They beat in Northwestern,
which is a Big Ten school that's totally good.
Right.
Yeah, all Big Ten schools are good.
But beat them like a drum. And Retzlaff has been one of the best quarterbacks in the country for the past 2 years, and they made him look completely inept. I thought that was a great performance from Ole Miss and made me feel a lot better about them going into the rest of the season. We thought going into the season that DJ Lagway or Cade Klubnik was going to be the best quarterback LSU's defense would face in the month of September. That was clearly wrong. I will also say, on the other hand of that, this is the best defense. This isn't Tulane or this isn't Arkansas that he's going to face on Saturday. It should be an awesome game.
Yeah.
Somebody told me on Austin Simmons that his injury, they won't come out and say it, but it's a several-week injury. So, but I would expect Kiffin to come out this week and go, you know what, we'll have to see on Austin, but he may play coy, make LSU have to prepare for both guys.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to do that. Lane Kiffin loves doing that. And if you look at FanDuel right now, this week it opened up Ole Miss -1.5 against LSU in that game.
Wow. LSU's top 5?
Yeah. This game, I know about Alabama and Georgia. That's a big game. I know about Penn State and Oregon. This is the game of the week.
There you go, Marler. You're still drunk, Aaron says.
All of that Celsius, 5-hour energies. All that
real quick, just to cover everything, Mississippi State, and I put this on our topic, but who's the biggest 4-0 surprise to you guys as we sit here in the SEC? We got Ole Miss at 4-0. We got LSU 4-0. Oklahoma's 4-0. Mizzou, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, period. Hands down. It's I thought that they would give a good battle against Arizona State, mainly because Arizona State brought back so many players from a team that made it into the playoffs. I was like, all right, yeah, this is going to be a good test. No, they owned them. And I'm like, wow, that impressed me. Lebby is starting to build some stuff. And, yeah, I'm very surprised that they're the ones that are 4-0.
Yeah, there's a real chance for a Mississippi Mayhem type weekend this weekend. There's a real chance that happens.
I love that answer, and I love the fact they've already doubled up last year's win total and beat their preseason win total prop. But the answer is Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt still had to go play Virginia Tech, who I understand sucks. But yeah, they had a revenge game against Georgia State, right?
They hung 70 on them. 70.
That's the most points they've scored. If that seems like a lot of points to you, it is, because Vanderbilt hasn't done that since 1918, right?
And they play slow. They want to play slow.
Is the last time that they were able to do that. And I'm just kidding, Luke. Sorry you're catching strays on here. No, they were able to go out there and put up 70 points. They dog walked South Carolina. They dog walked Virginia Tech. Like, I think it's the way they did it. And the other part too is I believe that their season win total was at 4.5. So they're already almost there. And I don't expect them to go 4-8, but I do love the fact that Mississippi State has gotten off to this great start. It's been awesome to watch. They could make some moves. I mean, the Shapen has been kind of underwhelming the past 2 weeks, but maybe they beat Texas. Who knows?
No, Mississippi State put up like 25 points against Tennessee last year in Neyland. Jeff Lebby on that defense has a little bit unlocked. It's going to have to be a shootout. It will have to look like the Ole Miss Arkansas game did. But if that happens, Mississippi State, as you know, in the early parts of the Lane Kiffin era, we can attest to, shootouts can happen with Jeff Lebby. Mm-hmm. If that happens in that game, it could get weird in a hurry. And if it just comes down to an interception or a fourth down stop or just one play, if you make that play, what happens?
Marler, what's crazy is Alabama. We're going to talk later this week on the Squad Show all about Alabama at Georgia. But I'm looking at Bama has to host Vanderbilt the week after, which is probably going to be 5-0 because they're going to beat Utah State. Then it's at Mizzou, home for Tennessee. Like this, Kalen DeBoer, I think they've looked great the last 2 weeks. They had a bye week, but like this Georgia game, they need to bring their A game because if I could just envision a world, Bama's already got a loss. If they lose at Georgia,
bring their A game against Georgia.
I'm just saying, like in other words, losses could spiral here with the schedule coming up for Bama.
No, Gordon, that's a good point. I think bringing their A game against Georgia should be the focal point for freaking practice.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like they. In other words,
they're going to play 3 straight teams that are 5-0, basically.
I said they lose to Georgia.
They will lose to Georgia, for one. 2, I said this to Georgia. I said this to you guys last week, and you guys thought that I was crazy. And this one guy thinks I'm still drunk, and where's the fireball? The fireball's over there. I can't even touch it right now, okay? But the issue is this. I said this last week. If you convinced me that they were going to beat Georgia, I feel better about that for Alabama than I do about I think they run through Mizzou and Vandy because they get up for the big games. They have under Kalen DeBoer, not necessarily on the road, but they've gotten up for those big games. You saw it last year against Georgia. And then what happens afterwards, once the expectations set in, then all of a sudden it's when he's like, no, we've got to get rid of these expectations immediately. So if you told me they would beat Georgia and then lost to Vanderbilt, I don't think that's crazy.
Real quick, guys, two more games. Tennessee beat the snot out of UAB. No surprise there. They look good in that. Texas beating the crap out of Sam Houston. Good that Arch finally looked good. But how do we feel about him standing over the Sam Houston defender?
Isn't that like the definition of? Isn't that like the definition of punching down?
Yes. And the part is, Stephen, it's the fact that all of Texas media is celebrating it. And the Texas football account, like the actual football account from Texas is like, I'm not a cat guy. All of Texas is Pepper, get over here. Show these people. Let me get my corgi. Pepper here so I can prove to you what kind of man I am. No, the idea. Thank you, Jay. The idea that I lost my train of thought. Who cares? It sucks.
But
look, an FCS team. They were an FCS team 3 years ago. He's like, yeah, flexing on them. Like, you were
with Phil Longo in his 26 plays.
Was it Phil Longo there?
Yeah, Phil Longo's the head coach of Sam Houston.
Bro, Phil Longo used to think when I was at SCS, he thought that I was a former player of his running the social media account. So he would just send me stuff during the week of games. He's like, bro, wait till you see we roll out against these guys. And I was like, I don't. But
Do you know who me?
I was like, yeah, coach, go get him, bro.
I did see one girl say that covers Texas. She tweeted, Arch Manning needed a confidence-building game regardless of opponent. Fans who expected a Heisman-caliber game versus Ohio State or boot him against UTEP are the problem. First-time starting quarterbacks always have growing pains. I say that because they got a road trip coming up to Florida. Florida, I thought their defense played as well as they could at Miami. It's just the offense stinks. In closing, guys, wrapping up, what'd you make of Florida?
I was told that they were playoff bound team.
Yeah.
I was told that Lagway was the greatest thing walking around, and I know Marler is taking his victory laps right now. That's why he's looking like that. He's looking sweet and innocent right now for one reason and one reason only. He put out an article talking about that JJ Lagway was overrated, and he got attacked viciously by the social media mob. They tried to cancel the man like y'all trying to cancel me in the comment section, but it's okay. We found a way to make it so that we can move forward. And Marler's here now, enjoying all the fruits of his labor. The DJ Lagway looks god-awful right now in the last 2 games. And I don't know what Florida's going to do. Like, is Billy Napier going to last after the week against Texas? Like, does he survive that game?
He finally gets a break and gets to play somebody that's lesser competition, and it's Texas. So that's good. And like, that sounds like a joke. But honestly, man, I feel better about them beating Texas at home than I would against those last 2 teams. Here's the scariest part about what happened last night, guys. It wasn't the 141 total yards. It wasn't the fact that they averaged less than 3 yards a pass and 3 yards of carry rushing. They were 0 of 13 on third downs. 0 of 13. At some point, just run a trick play where the receiver goes out to the sideline and no one accounts for him, and then throw him the football. I mean, am I right?
Hey,
that's pretty good.
By the way, Chris Doering on SEC Football Final called Florida's offense low T. And that is all that I can think of this morning. Once you lose Doering, it's over. It is absolutely over.
Doering is the opposite of low T, so that's hilarious.
I'm going to say if they get blown out by Texas in Gainesville, there's a chance it happens there. I'm thinking maybe if they lose to Texas and then get demolished at A&M, I think it happens there. It sucks. Billy Napier's a nice guy. I've interviewed him in the past. I just think this job was just too difficult. And the schedule's been brutal since he stepped foot in Gainesville. So
can't have
the end is nigh.
Coaches slapping people, though. It's just too much. I think you're
How
right.
did Jabbar Jaluk not get fired for that? I'm still.
There are people defending it. It's like that. No, these players are played. Like what? You can't do that.
Yeah, we pay him now. You can hit him. You can hit him. It's legal.
Yeah, it's legal for me to do that because we're paying them.
All right, fellas. NFL is about to get underway, so we'll hand it off to that. But appreciate you guys for joining us. And, hey, a reminder, on Thursdays, you can check out the college football preview on Fire TV. College football kickoff every Thursday with Gary Patterson, Jesse Holly, and Drake Tolley. You can check that out. And a reminder, our squad show drops on Thursdays, previewing all the games this weekend. It is going to be a fire weekend with Ole Miss, LSU, Bama, Georgia. There are going to be some massive games coming up in SEC Week 5. You won't want to miss it. For Jay Smith, Stephen Willis, Chris Marler, I'm Chris Gordy. We will talk to you guys later in the week right here on the SEC Squad Edition.
Squad.
Ole Miss LSU week.